My dear friends, welcome to another episode of The Lazy Gourmet. I'm Ken, and today I'm going to show you an absolutely fantastic vegetarian side dish or a vegan main. It is a Greek dish, very traditional, called Maporizo. Basically what that means is cabbage and rice in a tomato sauce. Very easy to prepare with a little bit of rice. Stick to your ribs for these cold nights. For our cabbage and rice dish that we're gonna make tonight, we're obviously gonna need cabbage. I had this lying around in my fridge from the other night. What better way to use it up? It's vegetarian, super healthy, and it makes a meal go a really long way. A little bit of tomato paste, an onion, a little green chili for a little heat, some of my very own basil-infused tomato sauce, a little bit of gluten-free rice, which also makes this recipe gluten-free, olive oil, and that's it. So now we're ready to start our dish. The first thing I'm going to do is actually fire this up, get our pot preheating, start chopping up our onion. Doesn't have to be any kind of fancy or fine chop. What you're looking for basically is actually slicing it up. Now that our onion is chopped up, a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, of course. I love using extra virgin olive oil. It goes in everything. As far as I'm concerned, people should be putting it on their cereal. So about 3 or 4 tablespoons of olive oil have gone into our pan. Actually, our pot. Move our sliced onion in there. The next thing I'm going to put in there is our chopped green pepper. Add a little bit of heat. It's the winter time. Why not? That goes in. I like my food generally on the spicier side without having any kind of problems. But if you don't want that spice, feel free to totally not add the hot pepper. So now our onion is well on its way to becoming translucent. The next part of this is about a tablespoon of tomato paste. Sorry for the clanging. Let that kind of heat and kind of melt through. While that's going, I'm going to start working on the star of our show, cabbage. I love cabbage. Cabbage is A, delicious, B, nutritious, and C, let's face it, it's not the most expensive thing you can buy that'll feed a lot of people. And this adds bulk to your food, no matter what you're doing. This dish that I'm making right now will feed about 6 people as a side, or easily 3 to 4 people as a main vegan entree. All I'm using for this is maybe a couple of handfuls or so of rice into this, and it's going to create such a volume of food, and it's going to be delicious. The way to do this dish is I just cut away at the bottom kind of stump. That's what I call this. And what I do is I take out or remove the outside leaves, just leave those there, and slowly just start cutting on the bias, just like that. You don't have to make this really complicated in terms of the way you cut this, only because once it starts sauteing up, which is what we're going to do next once we put it in here, it'll all kind of, the liquid will pull out of it, and you're going to find yourself with something that's really, really nice. And what I'm going to do is just very roughly chop this so that you're not left with these enormous parts of this cabbage and you've got these big pieces to chew. Perfect. And without getting it everywhere on the floor. There we go. I'm just starting to add this in now to my pot. Look how much volume I've got just off of this half of a head of cabbage. And the thing is, with this, don't get fooled. Once it starts cooking down and the liquids and the moisture starts extracting, it's going to actually shrink in size and volume. So this is going to take some time for this to cook down. And just let that go. The moisture will be released slowly. To help things out, a trick when you're trying to cook down vegetables like cabbage or things of that nature, salt early. And what the salt does is it pulls out the moisture. About a generous maybe pinch or two of salt. Freshly cracked black pepper is a must. This has been going now for about 3 minutes and it's already starting to shrink. The moisture is starting to pull out of it, and that's exactly what we want at this point. So what we're going to do is let that go for maybe another 2-3 minutes before we start adding our tomato sauce and the liquid. If you see that your pot is getting dry and kind of starting to get sticky at the bottom, you can go ahead, add a little bit of water at this point, just to almost deglaze the pot from the bottom. And you can hear that. And I'm getting a nice waft of the chili pepper that's in there. Nice. There is also another dish that's very, very similar to this. It's called Maporizo, and it's basically the identical dish, except instead of cabbage, they use spinach. Now that our cabbage is well on its way to boiling down and cooking down, the next part of this recipe is adding our pureed tomato. This is my very own homemade pureed tomato, and I'm going to add about 1.5 cups of this, or about 14 ounces, maybe 12 to 14 ounces, give or take. The next part of this is adding a little bit of water. Not a lot, just enough basically to almost cover your cabbage. I'm going to turn up the heat now, bring this to a boil, and once this comes to a boil, I'm going to add the rice, reduce heat and cover it, and just let that go for about 10-15 minutes. And it's going to be good to go. So this has come now to a rolling boil. We're ready for our rice. Everything is nicely incorporated. It's smelling amazing. And again, for this, a couple or so handfuls, depending on how many people you have. There's one. Mine, mind you, are a pretty big handful. What the heck? I'll put in like 3. 3 handfuls go into this, which is about 1.5 cups of rice. 1.5 cups of rice is plenty to do 6 side dishes or about 4 mains. The trick to this dish as well, I'll have you know, is that while you're cooking this and while your rice is cooking down and you've reduced your heat and covered this up, don't treat this like regular rice. Make sure that you check on it once in a while. Make sure that it doesn't become too dry or that it doesn't stick on you on the bottom. And all you have to do is just check up on it and then add some water. And that's all you have to do. I've turned this right down to about a lower than medium low, closer to the low side. And I'm just gonna cover this up and let it go. In about 10 to 15 minutes, this should be ready. But in that meantime, please, you have to check this out. Make sure that it's got enough liquid and just keep adding liquid, not until it becomes runny, until it's almost like the consistency of a risotto. All right, so now it's been about 15 minutes or so. Our Maporizo is ready to go, or our Greek cabbage and rice. Just look at this, how delicious. This is absolutely fantastic. The liquid has been absorbed by the rice and it's absolutely fantastic. Ready to go. Our chicken, or my chicken, is ready that I started earlier. It's Tuesday night dinner. You gotta eat something. So, put this out here. Just like that, look at that. Perfect. So, I'm just gonna grab a plate and put it together for you. So here we go. Just gonna take this, move this off to the side, and start putting our plate together. Put a little in the middle. See, this is where it gets a little funky and you want a little bit of presentation as well. So what you do is take a deeper plate, like a pasta plate, and put some in there just like that. And after that, take a nice piece of chicken thigh and place it just right on top, just like that. That's all there is to this. And remember, this episode and the start of the show is the cabbage and rice, not the chicken, but I'm just trying to show you how it looks in terms of a presentation. And of course, my favorite part about doing these episodes is trying this out. What are the odds that I'm gonna like incinerate my tongue here? Delicious. It's ooh, got a bit of kick to that with the chili pepper, but it's just simple and elegant. Cabbage, rice, tomato sauce, a little bit of heat from the chili. Perfect. Our chicken is done to perfection. For this dish, you could also use beef, pork, fish, anything you want, you can accompany with this. It's an excellent vegan main course or as a side dish. It's absolutely fantastic, and I urge you all to try it. You won't regret it, and it's simple to make, and if you're on a budget and you want to feed a bunch of people, inexpensive. So, thank you very much for watching. I'm Ken, as you know, the Lazy Gourmet. This has been an episode on Greek cabbage and rice, or Maporizo. I hope you all try this. More importantly, I hope that you all enjoyed this episode. You learned something. If you did, please hit that thumbs up and that like button, and please subscribe. Until next time, I'm Ken. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.